Hello and welcome to Election Night on THV 11. We have so much to share with you, but we can first of all say with all the accuracy in the world that this has been a historic night in Arkansas politics.
Yeah, we've been following it closely, and from the issues to the candidates, THV 11 is your election central, and we have extensive team coverage tonight. And that includes the governor's race that we've been following very closely.
Team coverage of the governor's race. Frederick Price is at Chris Jones' headquarters. We've been waiting to hear from Chris Jones, but first, Sarah Huckabee at the headquarters for the projected victor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah, the race was called very early in the night, just minutes after polls closed. So this watch party actually became more of a Sarah meeting, voters meeting, supporters party. She's been going around for the last few hours and is still taking photos on stage with her staff and supporters. She spoke with us a little while ago, sharing her thanks to the other candidates, to everyone who voted for her, and for her time in Arkansas. She also mentioned some things that she's been talking about in her platform throughout this lengthy campaign process. Her focus is our education and the economy. She's really going to get into those and try to fight for Arkansas. That's what she was saying, and really get to know the state and show her kids more of the state. So family was really a big focus there. Also thanking her father and thanking him for his legacy as governor. So right now we're just soaking it in, all in after this early call. The campaign staff said they were hoping for an early call and they couldn't have asked for anything more than this, especially after being so confident going into this evening. But again, Chris Jones is still holding on to any potential, not speaking yet. So Frederick Price is at that campaign party right now. But first, I'm going to send it back to studio, and you guys can kind of continue to dissect what's going on across the state right now. But for now, reporting in Little Rock, Sarah Huckabee, THV 11 News.
All right, thank you, Sarah. And I'm looking over the shoulder here. 34% of the vote is in now on the governor's race, but as we've talked about earlier, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, early winner, projected winner.
Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring in Lance as well. And Lance, you know, you've been following this race with us kind of all night, following the results from Sarah Huckabee Sanders and her win. Can you tell us a little bit about what you think with the results tonight?
Well, decisive victory so far. We still got some vote to count, but certainly right now 62% to 36% with 34% of the vote in-house right now. You know, that was all. It's been kind of a lopsided race so far. I mean, Sarah Huckabee Sanders spending $9.2 million in her campaign war chest for the general election alone. Chris Jones at just under $2 million, and also just enjoyed the celebrity, the Trump touch in a state that still values Trump and still is a big backer of the former president, a deeply red Republican state, and almost from the moment that she declared, she was seen as the front runner, and that carried through in poll after poll that we saw throughout the campaign, and never really lost that advantage, even up against a good candidacy, a good campaign by Chris Jones, a nationally recognized campaign by Chris Jones.
Right.
Interestingly enough, in her acceptance speech, she never mentioned President Trump in that speech, nor President Biden.
All right, Lance Turner with Arkansas Business, thank you so much for joining us. We now want to go to Frederick Price, who's at Chris Jones's watch party. Frederick, what can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, in 2.5 hours after the polls closed, Jones and his supporters are still in this ballroom. He arrived at around 8:30, and the crowd, they were just cheerful for him. He had a standing ovation, but he addressed the crowd in a brief speech to them and said that he won't accept the results of this election until all of the votes are counted, hence why he has not made a speech. And in fact, about 30 minutes or so ago, his campaign team got up and said that he's going to wait a little longer because of reports of those polling locations that still have those long lines. So again, the energy is still energetic here. People are still cheerful. Jones has been making his rounds around the room, hugging people, taking selfies with people. I even went up to him and said, hey, do we have a time frame on when you may speak? And he told me that he's going to make sure that he talks to every single person in this room before he makes a speech. So of course we're going to be waiting here, and we're going to bring that live to you here on THV 11. For now though, we're live tonight in Little Rock. Frederick Price, THV 11 News.
Frederick Price, a graduate of Watson Chapel High School, waiting on another graduate of Watson Chapel High School, Chris Jones, to make a speech. Okay, now the race for Little Rock's mayor. Here are the results so far. Keep in mind this is still relatively early in this race. We're going to show you the results of the race so far, and Frank Scott has a 52-38 lead.
Yeah, and Greg Henderson, 8% there. Glenn Schwartz, 1% of the vote. So still following that, and obviously we do have the results of the governor race. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the next governor of Arkansas. Still waiting to kind of hear from Chris Jones. But here's our team coverage with the Little Rock Mayor's race. Ashley Godwin at Steve Landers' headquarters. But first, Ian Russell live at incumbent Mayor Frank Scott Jr. Ian, what can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, well, it's been 2.5 hours since polls have closed, but time really has kind of flown by here because this has turned more from an election watch party into an election party. People have been dancing, they've been enjoying themselves, a lot of free food out here, a lot of good drink, or maybe good drink, I'm not drinking myself, of course, but people out here are enjoying the party as they wait for Mayor Frank Scott Jr. to come back out on stage, and it sounds like he'll be on stage here in just a little bit, so we are waiting for that one. A lot of people here tell me they are confident. Officials with Mayor Frank Scott Jr.'s campaign tell me they are confident in the way things are going right now. You heard just a second ago, 51%, and every time they brought up those numbers here, supporters in the crowd have just gone crazy and cheered like crazy because they are excited and ready to continue with Frank Scott Jr. for another 4 years. Of course, we are still waiting for results, so we'll see if that stays the course as it is right now, but in the meantime, they are, of course, very, very excited, guys. We'll go and send it back to the studio.
Lance, you were looking at some updated numbers there, and we're showing that in your updated numbers that Frank Scott has fallen below 50% now, but still with a lead.
Yeah, about 48% for Mayor Frank Scott Jr. versus Steve Landers at 40%, Greg Henderson at about 8%, and Glenn Schwartz at 1.4%. So the overall shape of it is sort of the same. Frank Scott still maintains the lead, but more of those numbers are coming in, and they've had some trouble. They've been taking their time, I think, in Pulaski County to get those numbers counted and properly vetted and pushed through. So.
And I think we're waiting to go to Ashley Godwin. Quickly explain again, you have to get to 40, what's the 40% rule?
You have to be beyond 40% to avoid a runoff. If you have candidates that fall below 40%, if no one gets above 40%, everyone's below 40%, you take the top two and they go to a runoff, and that's decided in December. Okay. But we're not seeing that so far in terms of the numbers that we're seeing at the moment.
All right, let's check in with Ashley Godwin at the Steve Landers watch party. Can you hear me, Ashley?
Hey, Craig,
Thank
Steve
you. I
is
know
just
you're out
about
there
to talk.
wondering.
We are turning it to him.
I know you're wondering the same thing I'm wondering. What's going on? There's 79 precincts, 10 have been reported, okay? We appreciate all your support. Returns are slow. So we're waiting just like you. Hang in there with us. Just might be a little longer night. We're gonna win this thing, so y'all stay with us. Thank you.
Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me, Craig and Faith? So Steve is now walking off the stage, but if you heard him, he said that the votes have not been counted yet. That's true, but he is still fighting. We are waiting just like he is. The results right now, 47%. Frank Scott Jr., Steve Landers has 40%. And we don't know how many precincts have already reported because Pulaski County is not reporting how many of those votes have been counted. So we don't know how much further we have left, but like Steve said, we are waiting until we get those final results. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Ashley, thank you. Now to what was by far the biggest issue among the constitutional amendments, marijuana.
TV 11's Jalissa Garza live with the group behind this measure, and they are behind her. That group known as Responsible Growth Arkansas. Jalissa, where is everybody?
That's right. We've been here with Responsible Growth Arkansas since about 3 o'clock. The energy in the room has definitely changed. They were very hopeful this was the only issue, is the only issue on the ballot that is citizen driven, but still staying a little bit optimistic. We've got Alex Gray here with Responsible Growth Arkansas. I know you've been keeping a close eye on the polls. We've talked about the dip in the support we've seen from September to now. How are you feeling right now knowing that there's a large percentage of Arkansans so far not supporting this issue?
Yeah, I think that all of the issues seem to have underperformed pretty significantly. So, it's certainly not looking like it's going to go in our favor, but I think it's one of those things where we're going to wait and see the votes come in, and we'll kind of evaluate things. If we come up short, we'll kind of evaluate things and look forward.
Now, I know it was a big push to get all the way here, and that's something that you were just thankful for, to really make the ballot. But going forward, if this issue doesn't pass, are you concerned about being able to get this on another ballot?
I think it's something we'll have to just kind of reevaluate. If we'll look at and kind of see what people liked about the proposal, what people didn't like about the proposal, and if there's a something that we think is a pathway forward, then we'll certainly evaluate that.
Thank you so much. And as he mentioned, looking at that amendment, when you talk to those who are against this issue, they say the amendment is flawed. Even those who supported medical marijuana saying the amendment is flawed, saying that if there was some changes to it, they could support it. Now, I did mention that I've been keeping in contact tonight with those who are against issue 4. I spoke with the Family Council Action Committee, Jerry Cox, who says it looks like the issue is not going to pass, which is something that they're hoping for. They're also keeping an eye on issue 3, issue 2. So a lot of eyes still all on the ballot for issue 1 through 4. But as you can see, pretty empty in here. Everybody's pretty much left the room. I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to you on studio.
Thank you, Jalissa. Well, we have much more on the biggest races of the night, but tonight, a developing story, poll problems in Pulaski County.
Yeah, Brooke Buckner is live with what's going wrong and what's being done about it. Brooke.
That's right. Here at the Lake Maumelle Volunteer Fire Department, ballots, they actually ran out a few hours ago, causing extremely long lines and long wait times for people. Election officials here tell me lines went all the way out into the parking lot at one point, and they also tell me only like 2 people walked away. So people were definitely patient and eager to get their votes cast. Now, they also say they only had one machine people could vote on, and it backed up the line pretty bad as well. And folks here are now cleaning up, and will continue to keep you updated on air and online as election results come in. For now, reporting live in Roland, I'm Brooke Buckner, THV 11 News.
Brooke Buckner, thank you so much. Rolly Hoyt here with Charles King, our election analyst here on THV 11 Election Central. And we're going to talk now about 3 other big races that are not called yet, on their way to easy calls, starting with the race for U.S. Senate. John Boozman appears set to go back to D.C. for a 3rd term in the U.S. Senate. 65.45% of the vote over Natalie James, a Little Rock political activist here, Mr. King.
Yeah, John Boozman, who started his political career on the heels of his brother, his late brother, has been everybody's friend. So there's no surprise there that he gets 65% of the vote.
A former Razorback football player, part of a political family, former eye doctor, now a chance to take a powerful position in the Agricultural Committee up there in the Senate. So this is what he had to say upon getting that call of winning tonight.
It seems like yesterday, and I can remember back my last Razorback football game. I took my jersey off and I was talking to my buddies whose lockers were around me, and I said, I've done my time. I vow never to sweat again. Thanks to you all, we didn't have to sweat very much tonight.
So not much sweating there. Now, we've got an interesting situation in Arkansas, Charles. We've got a general looking to be a lieutenant, and a lieutenant looking to be a general. We'll start first by talking about Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, who appears to be on her way to becoming the next lieutenant governor, which will mean, if this race does get called with these vote totals, that we will have an all-female executive suite in this state with Sarah Huckabee Sanders as the governor, Leslie Rutledge comfortably in front of Kelly Ross Crowd, and then switching places with Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin, who is comfortably ahead of Jesse Gibson in the race to be Attorney General. Tim Griffin, a man with experience both in the military as well as on Capitol Hill as a representative from here in central Arkansas. No real surprises in these races today.
No real surprises. I tell you, as a true veteran who was a lieutenant but never a general, but I ended my career as a captain, I can tell you that that up and down thing, you only want to go up, not down. But Leslie Rutledge, of course, she really wants to be governor. She made that clear, but when the path was not there, she settled for lieutenant governor. We'll now have to see how, as you said, an all-female suite will work.
There'll be some national aspirations for just about all of the big winners tonight. They'll have a bit of a mandate. We want to take a look at some of the other races that are coming up tonight. We've been talking all about some of the surprising things, how close it has been and the direction in the issues, as well as what we've seen in the mayor's race, how right now it appears that Mayor Scott is comfortably ahead of runoff territory.
Well, he's comfortably ahead of runoff territory, and a bit down ballot from the mayor's race is the city director's race, where it looks like Doris Wright will probably be out and a friend of the mayor will be in.
That's quite an end of an era there shaping up in Little Rock city government. Plenty of other races that we are keeping an eye on, guys.
All right, well, we want to make it easy to take a close look at the election returns.
Text the word VOTE to 501-376-1111. We'll send a link to that straight to your phone, and we'll be right back in just a moment. And Tom, so will you.
Yes, I will. And tomorrow we're looking at another very warm day, close to record-setting temperatures across Arkansas with plenty of sunshine, but it's going to get colder later in the week. I'll have your forecast details after this.